Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. It's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill on a Wednesday from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, Jeremy Hill, Casey Gaines, and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Mr. Hill, scale of 1 to 10, how do you think you looked in your picture this morning?
Oh, man, had that nice backdrop, had the nice bar behind me, great lighting. So I'll probably go at least a 7 or 8 at least, man.
He's the 7. We'll be the judge of that when the pictures come out. Team Picture Day, it's a motley-looking squad. I don't know if we were lighting it up in there, but pictures taken nonetheless. And now time to talk a little bit of sports, and we have got plenty on the menu today. They are still dodging showers in Hoover, Alabama. They have still not completed day 1 of the SEC tournament. We are past the noon hour of day 2 of the SEC tournament. They are planning on getting underway in 45 minutes. Auburn and Kentucky, of course, LSU will get the winner. Tigers are practicing right now because they found a time where they can get out there and do it. So unfortunately, Jason Kelly not going to be able to be with us in his usual 12:30 slot. We'll try to catch up with Coach in the second half of the show, but odds are that's going to be tough to do. We'll see if we can catch up with him at any other point in the show. We will catch up with Glenn West now of Go 247. He will join us at 1:30, and excited to have Brian Westbrook, former Pro Bowler who now works for radio station up there in Philly. He will join us at 1 o'clock to talk a little bit of NFL. I'm going to just lay it out there to him and be like, hey, I just don't think the NFC is very good, and that includes his Eagles. That includes the Saints down here. I think there are holes everywhere in the NFC where the AFC is much, much tougher. We'll talk with Brian Westbrook about all of that. Certainly want to talk some NBA playoffs. Lane Kiffin is ticked off and not being shy about it. We'll talk about that as well, but I want to get you caught up on the goings-on in college baseball as of right now. They did play 3 games yesterday into this morning of the SEC baseball tournament. Georgia has been eliminated from the SEC tournament by Alabama. So Georgia's hosting dreams are dead, I believe. Their RPI is 18. That's not in the top. They have an under 500 aggregate SEC record. I think Georgia's dreams of hosting are done. They were slim coming in, but I think they are done. Florida gets a win against South Carolina in a dramatic 2-1 10-inning ball game. If you didn't see it, Florida was in control the entire game, 1-0. It was a dream for Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, who were sitting there waiting for that game to end so they could play. And it could have gone 4 hours, and they could have started at 11 o'clock at night. It didn't go that way. It was 1-0 going to the 9th inning. South Carolina finds a way to scratch a run in the 9th to push it to extras with their season on the line. In the 10th, Florida, in the bottom half, gets runners on first and third. Line drive to center field. South Carolina's center fielder catches it for the second out. Runner from third tags. Perfect throw, right on the money. Catcher makes the grab, puts the tag on him in plenty of time, and drops the ball. He's safe. Florida moving on to double elimination. South Carolina's season is over. So that's what you're looking at through 2 games. Florida at this point has a 22 RPI right there with LSU. 16 and 15 now in SEC play. Their quad 1 is not great at 11 and 16. They won series against Miami and Arkansas, but they still have a lot to do to become a host site. They're very clearly not a host at this point, but they have room to make a run, and they're playing really good baseball at this point. Heartbreaker for South Carolina. And then the game that I think was the most fascinating last night, Vanderbilt and Ole Miss. If you'll recall, all week we told you, can't believe Vanderbilt's not throwing Holt, and why are they not throwing him? And you texted Arya Gershon, beat writer up there at the Tennessee at the Tennessee, and she said, I think they're holding him for the first day of the SEC tournament. Well, they did, and he was lights out against Ole Miss. 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts. Ole Miss could not do anything against him, and they went to Christian Little in the back end of the bullpen. He closed the game out. Ole Miss gets just 5 hits, all singles in the game. They are eliminated from the SEC tournament. Long week ahead for the Rebs, and as far as Vanderbilt goes, I think LSU's in just fine shape ahead of Vanderbilt with the sweep up there. Doors probably a 2 seed at this point. Not really a threat to host, but going to be a long week for the Rebs, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah. I wish that team would have showed up to Baton Rouge, man, with the bats that they showed in the SEC tournament. But, yeah, I think, when we talked about it going before the LSU series that, they still had aspirations of hosting. They could have really helped themselves out a ton. But, obviously, when you don't make that deep run in the SEC tournament, now you're at the mercy to see, where you're going to be postseason. So, I think for the Rebels, they let kind of one slip away here. But Vanderbilt, they played their cards right. I think they saved their best pitcher from when they really really needed them the most, and he showed up and he pitched extremely well. So that's gonna be a tough beat for Ole Miss and Bianco and the crew. Know what their fate is now after that one.
I was listening to an Ole Miss podcast this morning, just listening to the first 12 or so minutes of it, just kind of see what the vibes were. This game ended at 1 o'clock in the morning, mind you. And Chase Parham from Rebel Grove, who I think is one of the best beat writers in the SEC and covers Ole Miss, said the players were just extremely emotional after the game. They knew what was on the line. And Ole Miss threw Dylan DeLucia, their number one guy. He asked for the ball on short rest and said, let me go get it. And he wasn't terrible. He gutted it, and Vanderbilt hit him a little bit early, but his bats just did nothing. When you get 5 hits and they're all singles, there's just nothing there. And they knew that it was on the line. So now if you're Ole Miss, you're reduced to watching the scoreboard for teams like Wofford and Georgia Southern and Texas State. You're reduced to looking at Louisiana Tech and some of the teams that are going to make the NCAA tournament very likely, but they need them to win their conference tournament, because if they don't, there's a bid stolen from right out from under them. That's the life of a team that gets eliminated early in the week and doesn't feel very good about it. Ole Miss's RPI dropped all the way down with that loss to 39, which is it's not dead, but it's not great. And the thought is, I was listening to that podcast, and Chase has a good handle on the RPIs, that it's probably going to leak into the low 40s. I think Ole Miss's season is probably done without every domino falling in the right direction. So, for Ole Miss, you put yourself in this position. You did a great job to go get 3 games against LSU, but you can't get swept at home against Alabama. You can't lose 2 out of 3 to Mississippi State, who finished last in the West. You can't get dusted in a couple of midweek games that can be RPI. They put themselves in this spot. And look, I've been pretty upfront about this. I've always liked Mike Bianco. I can't tell if it's because he played at LSU even before I was there. If his son plays for LSU, it's just because he's a nice guy. Skip always talks about him. I don't know. I've always liked him, and I think one thing that the Ole Miss podcast brought up that I didn't think of. I saw the tweet, but I didn't think of it. Jim Schlossnagle, who's now the head coach at Texas A&M, who was at TCU for a very long time, he and Mike Bianco are good friends. And when A&M went there and won 2 out of 3, he left, and on Twitter, Jim Schlossnagle said, Mike Bianco is this generation's best program builder. He should be spoken about in the breath of Skip Bertman at LSU and Ron Frazier at Miami. And while, yes, Jim, Mike Bianco took a program that was nothing at the time and created a team that has won 30 games, 20-something years in a row, and qualified for X number of postseasons and won this many regionals, and there's just not enough postseason success to warrant that kind of adulation. My understanding is that Jim Schlossnagle and Mike Bianco probably talked, and Jim's just trying to stump for his guy and to try to keep him around. I just don't think it's going to work. I think when Selection Monday comes around, Ole Miss's name will not be called. I think they will move on from the best coach they've ever had.
Yeah, it's tough. We talked about this going into the season, how, they were ranked in the top 5 to start the season, and to see them kind of go through that SEC slate and play the brand of baseball they were playing, I think it was very shocking for a lot of people, and I think that's why Coach Bianco's in this position right now. When you have those expectations and people expect you, obviously, to dominate and obviously to make some deep postseason runs, and you don't even make it, it puts everyone in a really, really tough situation. And to see him have the success and really turn that program into what he's turned it into, it's a tough situation to see him in that way. But I think for Ole Miss, they let some weekends get away. I thought, that LSU weekend would get them back on in the right direction, but it seems like that just wasn't enough to get them over the hump. And then now it looks like they probably won't be playing in the postseason.
So as far as LSU goes and things that happened yesterday, Georgia Tech lost in their ACC tournament opener. They are a team that is right there on the 2 line, so it's not necessarily competing with LSU, but their RPI was number 20. It dropped behind LSU to move LSU up from 23 to 22 in the RPI. However, Florida wins their game. They leapfrog LSU. They are now 22nd in the RPI. So LSU's RPI didn't move. One team went behind them. One team jumped in front of them. Neither of those teams at this point is a host. But it was nice to see Georgia Tech lose, because you're trying to get teams to fall back behind LSU. The other team that is kind of in the same waters as LSU over in the ACC, Wake Forest, they were a 2 seed per D1 baseball entering yesterday. They lost. Their RPI dropped from 11 to 14. I can't think of anything but to say that is a good thing for LSU. I think there are a lot of y'all that are listening that are going, this is way too much, way too in detail. It's the stuff that I follow, and I grind it. I look at it, and I don't think you're going to get as much of this from the morning and the afternoon with T-Bob and Jacob, and then with Moscona, and that's what makes 3 shows good on a channel. And then you got the guys with early line who are throwing a ton of gambling at you. So it's like there's just some variety. But that's what I'm going to do this week with Jeremy. We're going to dive into these numbers and see how things are moving in terms of the RPI. Yesterday, I was pretty wishy-washy on Kentucky versus Auburn, who I wanted to see. That game starting up in 35 minutes. I'm now adamantly in the camp that I want to play Auburn. I think that RPI boost is going to be necessary for LSU. It's going to be fluid, and you just got to find a way to get that thing into the top 20 from 23. I think it's ridiculous that that's even the discussion that we're having at this point, but I trust Aaron and I trust Kendall at D1 Baseball, and they think it's a huge deal. So I'm going to continue to look at this, and I think LSU needs all the help with the RPI they can get. You play Kentucky, you could back up 6 or 7 spots if you lose. That would be very, very bad. You play Auburn and you lose. No, Auburn's sitting there at 8 in the RPI. You're not going to drop that much, and you get another chance to play and win the next day. We'll see who your competition would be. So I'm pulling for Auburn here in 35 minutes from Hoover.
Yeah, I think that bodes well the best for the Tigers. I think a team, obviously, like you said, in the top 8 in the RPI, you get a big win over there, and obviously that puts your aggregate in the SEC schedule a lot better than it was over the weekend, and then you give yourself another opportunity to make a deep run in this tournament. I think, obviously, if they win 2 games, I think you can really sign, seal it, deliver that they're going to probably host. And even if you lose to a team like Tennessee, they're number 1. So that's not going to hurt you at all. So I think for LSU, I think getting Auburn, beating that team, and obviously trying to find a way to win another game, I think it's going to really help them out and really hosting the regional here.
So Auburn and Kentucky, as I said, 12:45 is their estimated start time. Of course, they were supposed to be the late game of day 1. They were bumped back to the morning of day 2. It's been raining since 8 o'clock this morning in Hoover, and it's like there's just a massive system over the entire state of Alabama, and so they haven't gotten a chance to get out there, but they will play coming up here, and we will keep you posted during the second hour of our show as to the goings on there. We'll talk to Brian Westbrook, we'll talk to Glenn West, and we'll get some thoughts outside of Hoover. We'll keep you updated on the scores, the rest of the schedule for you today in Hoover as they can kind of get to it, I guess. You're going to see Alabama and Arkansas play in the game that follows Kentucky and Auburn. That's a game that is a double elimination format. You're going to be pulling for Alabama in that game. You want Arkansas to be dinged as much as they can be. That's an 18-win SEC team. I cannot imagine, even though Aaron and Kendall don't have them as a host right now, I cannot imagine that 18 SEC wins is not going to swing a pretty big stick in that selection committee's room. So I'm pulling against Arkansas in that game for Alabama. A&M and Florida, you kind of find yourself in the same boat as A&M. They won the West, so they're probably got a leg up on you. I don't think Florida's going to play their way all the way to a host, but that's kind of where we are. And then Vanderbilt and Tennessee. If you're LSU, let Tennessee win as many games as they want. That's not going to affect anybody, and certainly knocks teams backwards. So, we'll see LSU and the Kentucky and Auburn winner on the same side of the bracket as Vanderbilt and Tennessee. So that's where things stand in Hoover, Alabama. Still a ton to get to over the next hour and 45 minutes. I think Lane Kiffin is the next talking point here. He had some pretty inflammatory things to say to Ross Dellinger. I mentioned earlier that I listened to an Ole Miss podcast. They touched on that a little bit earlier as well, and I want to get to some of their thoughts on that. It's an evergreen topic right now. Maybe it dies on the vine at some point, but certainly hasn't just yet. And Lane stoked the fire yesterday, so we'll talk about that next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford, BayouFord.com. In talking with Ben Gagne, we were talking about some of the cars that they've got. And I think the Bronco is really hot right now with Ford users. I got a buddy who just purchased a new Bronco, and that's something that they get in and move out pretty quickly. I just told him how much I love my Explorer. I've had 3 of them now. My first car when I was in high school was a 99 Explorer, and then I got another one in college, and I purchased one a couple of years ago. I love it. And the thing about the Explorer is you think of it as kind of a compact SUV, but I've got a third row in mine. So if you need to have, 6 passengers, like you can get it in there. And I've got a kiddo now. The car seat fits perfectly. And if I want to lay that third seat down, my golf clubs fit in the back as well. There's a lot of room in that Explorer. Of course, the X Edition is a bigger one. Jeremy drives the F-250. We are Ford guys, and we love Bayou Ford. When you become a Bayou Ford customer, it's all about convenience for you. If it's service or if it's sales, if you need your car serviced, you just need an oil change, something's not quite right, but you don't have time to drive to the dealership. Well, that's all right. They've got 6 drivers. They'll have somebody come pick it up from you. They will give you a loaner. You can go about your day. Your car will be brought right back to you when the service is done. Bayou Ford's convenience cannot be touched in this marketplace. If you're in the market for a new car, a used car, let Bayou Ford be your guide.
Yeah, and Bayou Ford has an amazing special going on 2 vehicles. The first vehicle being a new 2022 Ford F-150 for 2.9% APR and $500 in bonus cash. The second one being a new 2021 Ford EcoSport for $2,000 off MSRP.
Bayou Ford, you can check them out at BayouFord.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Join 100.7 The Tiger and Our Lady of the Lake Ascension, Saturday, June 25th at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center in Gonzales.
Enjoy live music from Ted Durr, Mike Broussard and the Night Train, and Jamie Badron and the Kickin' Cajuns. Make sure you grab a delicious plate of jambalaya from the Mike Ward's Liberty Safes Jambalaya Cook-Off to raise money for the Alzheimer's services of the capital area.
The Swamp Pop Music Festival with Supreme Chevrolet.
Louisiana's country station.
100.7 The Tiger.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but 2 NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to front-to-backboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front-to-Back Boat Service.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare.
Poor boy raised amid turn-of-the-century New Orleans, Louis Armstrong became one of the most recognizable people on Earth. Visit dropbiscuit.com today and check out the trailer to our first original series, Pops, The Louis Armstrong Story, starring Reno Wilson. Subscribe today. This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
On the open field here on a Wednesday edition, Hunt and Hill. And Jeremy, Lane Kiffin, I still haven't quite figured out. There's a part of him that was so brash at Tennessee, putting up billboards in Atlanta and kind of talking some noise. And then there's a side of him that goes on Twitter and kind of mixes it up with people. And then you get him in a press conference, and he's a little bit awkward and not quite as confident as he is behind a keyboard. And then he'll go scorched earth at times. Like, it's just it's a mixed bag with Lane Kiffin to this point, and it's fascinating if it's nothing else. And so Lane basically got Ross Dellinger's ear and said, hey, want to come sit down and we'll chat. And so Ross did for an hour and wrote a story on SI.com that I highly encourage you all to read. And he's not stopping. And he brings up some points that I don't think are totally earth-shattering, but certainly something we didn't have to consider as greatly as we do now. And one of the instances that he was talking about was, what if these boosters who are paying all these high school kids to come to their school pay this kid X amount of dollars? He's a 5-star. He's great. He shows up, goes through summer workouts. We go into fall camp. He can't play dead in a Western. He stinks. And he's got X amount of dollars attached to his name that this booster is given, and he doesn't play. Well, the booster knocks on the coach's door and says, hey, I got an NIL deal with this kid. I got him here. You need to play him. And he says, no. Well, who's got the leg up? Who's more replaceable, the head coach or the booster? You can get a head coach from anywhere. Boosters aren't as easy to come by. And Lane went as far as to call the boosters, they're the owners now. And he said, I've worked for owners. He's worked for Al Davis. Think Al Davis cares who plays or who doesn't? Yes, he does. And so it's an interesting conundrum where he says, I'll just get fired. If this kid's awful, and I see him every day in practice, but he's got an NIL deal attached to his name, and the booster wants him to play, and the booster goes to the AD and says, I'm out. If he doesn't put this kid in the game, I'm fired.
Look, I have to totally agree with Lane on this one. I think that's why you see a lot of the coaches from the old regime, they don't really love this idea of NIL, and especially the way they set it out. They kind of just open Pandora's box and just let the horses free and just let them run forever. And it's like this thing, it's gotten crazy now. And I think with no regulation, with no real eyes on anything, I have to exactly agree with Coach Kiffin here, because now we've seen time and time again. I think you can go back and look at all the 5-stars that have come to LSU, and there's been plenty of them that haven't panned out. And so to say that, if NIL was around, I could imagine the type of money all those guys would have gotten over the years, but you wouldn't have gotten any fruition from them on Saturday night. So I think it creates a sticky situation for a lot of these coaches where, especially a lot of these big names, top-ranked guys, they're going to be getting NIL deals. I know they're not supposed to say that, but we all know what's going on. So it's got to be said. I don't think we've kind of seen the worst of this. I think, it's really in its genesis stages right now. But I think as these people start, investing millions of dollars into these kids, and then a lot of them are hitting the transfer portal, a lot of them aren't playing. I don't know. I don't know if that money's going to be getting divvied out like that down the road, but we're going to see. But I have to agree with Coach Kiffin here. I think it's created a weird thing for college sports that we're going to all have to adjust to.
Greg Lehman in the Bayou 4 chat says, has this not been going on already? And that's a perfectly fair point. No one here is naive enough to believe that no booster has ever given a player money and, expected that player to be a great player for the school. That, of course. And that is my next point in this entire discussion is I can sit here and create issues all day long, hypothetically, if you want me to. All day long. The question is, how much reality is rooted in them? You have been in locker rooms where theoretically no one was on the payroll, and you've been in locker rooms where everyone is on the payroll and everyone's money is public. I want to go first to your experience in college and what you think translates here. Do you think dollars and cents are going to create issues in more locker rooms than not? Of course, it's going to happen here and not happen as much here. There's hundreds of these. I'm just saying, in general, do you think 18 to 21-year-olds are going to allow money to create problems in the locker room?
Yeah, I could definitely see a world where that could be an issue. Now to say, hey, every locker room in the whole country is going to have issues. No, I don't think that's going to be the case, but I definitely could see that happening. And I think we've heard rumors last year about certain cornerbacks being upset about other cornerbacks' NIL deals and stuff. So we know that stuff can happen. And I think it's going to be an issue going forward. I think for me, just seeing like how everything is played out with no regulation, I think that's where you're going to kind of see, what are the negative side effects? What are going to be the consequences of all these things? Because right now it's like everyone's getting used to this stuff, and we don't really know exactly what the fallout's going to be. So I think as we go, as you start seeing more guys like Quinn Ewers, who takes $1 million to go to Ohio State, then goes to Texas the next year, I'm sure those Ohio State people weren't too happy about that, especially if you don't have to give them money back. So I think as you start seeing more and more of that, I think we'll kind of see how this thing plays out.
How much did money come into play in the professional locker rooms? You were two different organizations. Mm-hmm. Count the third. I don't know how long you were in there for the Raiders, but did it matter?
No, not at all. Guys totally stay far, far away from that. It's like, especially when guys are fighting for their money. Guys got contracts coming up. You see guys sometimes holding out to get their money. It's kind of just like an unspoken bond. Like guys just really don't talk about that. You don't really worry about what other guys getting. You don't really talk about it. So NFL guys have been there, done that. Everyone has an agent that's kind of representing them. I think these kids, a lot of them don't have representatives, so they got to either fight for it themselves or they have people, tugging at them and reaching at them, trying to get them stuff. So NFL never had those issues before.
Okay. So I'll tell you what did happen in the NFL that created issues because they changed the rule. When Jamarcus Russell was the highest paid player on the team, and Sam Bradford was the highest paid player on the team, and they hadn't accomplished anything. And the NFLPA said, wait a second, the 8-year vet who's made 3 Pro Bowls needs to be making more money than the player who's never gone to a practice before. And they fixed it. And they slotted the NFL draft. That could be the issue in college football where, wait a second, I was a freshman all-SEC player. I'm on Mel Kiper's big board for the next year's draft, and y'all are paying this 4-star kid who's an edge rusher who only weighs 220 pounds at this point more than me.
Yeah.
Okay, now this is a totally different discussion than, and it did cause issues in the NFL, and they fixed it, and that was the right thing to do. Jamarcus Russell shouldn't get as much money as the corner who's made 3 Pro Bowls. He never done anything.
Yeah.
So do you see that being an issue as right now NIL is being used far more for recruitment than it is to keep players? Now in the transfer portal era, it's always free agency, but have we got something on our hands there?
Oh yeah, I definitely see that getting in. I think, like I said, you're gonna see players, having their emotions, feeling some type of way, especially when they, you've been at a program 2 or 3 years. Obviously, you're projected to go in the draft, and you've had a ton of success, and then now they're playing this high school kid who hasn't played a single snap, hasn't been through a workout, hasn't done anything, and he's getting this big NIL deal when you've been there doing it and you're proven. So I definitely see that being an issue between teammates and between whoever's divvying out the collective groups or whoever's divvying out that cash. That's going to be an issue because I would agree with you. I think if you've been there, done that, you deserve to have at least highly compensated more than a guy who's never played a snap before.
Here's one point that I disagree with Lane on. Here, actually, to stay on time, there's a point that Lane Kiffin made that I disagree with. And I've kind of made that point in the past. We'll get Jeremy's thoughts on it. I'll give you mine, and we'll open the floor to you guys in the Bayou 4 chat or on Twitter at 1045 ESPN or at Hunt Palmer 88. There's something Lane said in this story that I don't agree with. We'll get to that next on Hunt and Hill.
Holding down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Visit Acura of Baton Rouge for attractive offers on the MDX.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and
Jimmy Ott for the Wednesday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're live at City Slice Pints and Pizza on Chime Street, just outside the north gates of LSU. Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers, 6 to 8 p.m. on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Before we get to Lane Kiffin's comments, a little bit of an update from the Big 12 tournament. I'm not sure exactly how to frame this, but Texas has beaten Oklahoma State. In D1's most recent projections, Oklahoma State was the 15 seed as a host, and Texas was a 2 seed. Texas wins that game. They move in the RPI up to number 16 from 21. And incidentally, Oklahoma State falls from number 18 to 21. So those two teams very much alive for a host. They don't play each other the rest of the way. Pull against Texas and Oklahoma State. If it's in the Big 12 and it's wearing orange, pull against it. That's the best I can do to tell you at this point. I think Texas, they have a fairly strong resume other than their conference record. But they're 14-11 in Quad 1, RPI up to 16. And look, that win catapults Texas 5 spots. That's the impact LSU can have if they can somehow, some way find a way to beat Auburn and Tennessee over the next 2 days. That's way easier said than done. But if you can do that, that RPI is going to be up around like 12 or 13 if LSU can do that. So that's the most important thing. But back to Lane Kiffin and his comments. to Ross Dellinger. I think a lot of the things that he's saying we disagree with, we agree with, far more than we agree with Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban, who are just up there telling flatly lies. Kiffin seems a little bit more authentic. I do think he's a little bit heavy-handed in what he's saying. And one of the things he said was, look, when you got money involved in this and it's legal and everyone's now just going to do it flagrantly, it doesn't matter who the coach is. It doesn't matter how big the stadium is. It doesn't matter about the tradition. It's only going to matter about the money you're offered. No. And I just don't quite see it that way. Certainly money's going to win at times. We saw it just this time with Jacoby Matthews. I will say it on the air. I will say it off the air. I will say it publicly. I will say it privately. Point blank, Jacoby Matthews went to A&M because the money was right. I believe that. And so it's going to happen some. But I do think in a lot of cases, kids are going to make that decision. And if you leave $120,000 on the table, you might. And that sounds crazy. I mean, hell, I'd take $120,000. But there are a lot of kids who see opportunities to make name and likeness money elsewhere as their college career goes on, and just want to go play for that coach in that system, in that state, and here that tie is very, very strong. There's just a lot of kids that are going to play in this state that want to play for LSU. You're one of them. So it just it's hard to put yourself in those shoes now, years and years later. But I think he's on the wrong path. He's just too far down the path.
Yeah. And I think I get where Coach Kiffin's coming from. Anytime you see the number one player in the country go to Jackson State, it's like, why on earth is that happening? So there's things that are pointing to that. But like we talked about on the break, like obviously we saw the Texas Bowl. We saw what this program was in. And then you still got guys like Will Campbell. You still got guys like Walker Howard. They could have took their talents to A&M. They could have went to Bama. They could have went wherever they wanted to go. But they wanted to go to LSU still, even though you finished the season under 500. The year before you were 500. They had every opportunity to leave. But certain guys in certain places, they want to play for their hometown state, and that's what they want to do. And when they look back, when they're old and gray, they're like, man, I'm so happy I stayed home. I played in front of my hometown fans, and I got a chance to have a great time with my friends and family. So yeah, money's going to be a big deal for a lot of people, but a lot of guys they just want to go to the place where they have always loved since being a kid. And I think to me that's way bigger than the money situation.
And again, money's going to win out sometimes, but there's also, it's got to be accounted for. You got a player from Homa or Thibodaux, or you got a player from the West Bank of New Orleans, or East Feliciana. Pick the school, pick the town, wherever, and you can be 45 minutes from home. Mm-hmm. Okay, grandfather's getting older, he's sick. I'd like to be able to get to him. I'd like mom and dad to get in the car and drive the 40 minutes to watch me every Saturday. There's something to be said for that. There's something to be said for going. Hester will preach this until the cows come home, and he's done it to multiple teams. That he committed to Texas, and he could have gone and played at Texas, but the impact on his life being from Louisiana, going to LSU, having the career that he did, and then turning around and having a professional career and businesses in this state is a huge deal that would not have been available to him at Texas. Now that's harder to comprehend with every single 17-year-old you're talking to, but there is a lot of merit in that. So there's just a lot of layers to this thing. There are a lot of levels to it. And for Lane to come on and say, no one cares who the coach is, no one cares how big the stadium is, no one cares about the system, they're just going to go to the money, he probably understands that he's stretching that too far, but he also understands where he's coming from, and that's at a program that can't really compete at that level, player in and player out.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the state of Mississippi, just per capita, just the amount of 5 stars and talent that's going to be in that state, Lane knows his hands are tied. He's going to have to do his damage in the transfer portal. But I think even speaking of the transfer, look no further than what Coach Kelly did just this very offseason, the amount of guys that he got from this state. Those guys could have went elsewhere, but he used the fact that they wanted to go back home, and it's not about the money for some kids. So, yeah, as much as I get what you're trying to say, Lane, when you look at some of the things that's happened, but you can point to time and time again, place to place to place, player to player to player, where guys just want to be home, and money's just not going to be that big of a deal for them.
I thought, again, I'll go back to because this came from Lane and because I was listening to the Rebel Grove podcast on YouTube with Neil McCready and Chase Parham. I'll give them credit for this analogy, and Neil was the one who came up with it. And he said, look, Ole Miss and Mississippi State are screaming, please put the speed limit on this thing at 75 miles an hour. We can drive 75 miles an hour, make everyone go 75 miles an hour. And then you've got LSU and Auburn jumping in, and they're saying, yeah, I mean, we can make it 120 miles an hour. That's fine. We can go 120. Like, we can do it. And then you've got A&M showing up, and Texas will come in, and they'll say, look, 200 is the speed limit. Check out this Lamborghini. And Mississippi State and Ole Miss are going to be flooring their cars, and it just goes up to 75 miles an hour, and then they just get flown by Texas A&M each and every time. And the analogy is right, and everyone understands that there are haves and have-nots, but I do think that as far as LSU goes, which is the point of conversation here, I think LSU is always going to be able to keep up to a degree. I think the guys with the oil money are making some pretty decent cash right now, and business is good, and that's why you're seeing a lot of what you're seeing over in College Station. But LSU, with the in-state talent, with the national brand, with a coach who will should be sitting in that chair, whether it's Ed Ogeron, Les Miles, Brian Kelly, whoever the next one's going to be, that should be able to recruit. You wouldn't get that job if you had no ability to recruit. I think LSU is going to be able to keep up, even though, as we said, our car only goes 115 miles an hour.
Yeah, I would have to agree too. I mean, with everything you just said, I think LSU, you have that brand. I think winning that championship a couple years ago was so huge for the program. I think without that, looking forward, it'd be really tough with how these things going with NIL and money. But I think that it gets you a foot in the door, and I think you got to get back to that level. And I think being able to recruit the state, obviously using NIL to LSU's advantage, and then Coach Kelly coming in and challenges, changing this program, getting guys back, being held responsible, and obviously doing the job he's been doing recruiting. It may not be this year, it may not be next year, but I think the program is definitely going back in the right direction. I trust Coach Kelly to continue to do that.
Looking in the Bayou Ford chat, DJ Stocky coming in, just tuning in. What's the verdict on the baseball game? LSU is playing tomorrow. Right now, projected to be the early game at 9:30. We'll see how things go. They are 3.5 minutes from first pitch between Auburn and Kentucky. There are 3 more games that have to be played. They'll play late into the night again. They played till 1 o'clock in the morning last night. They will do that again if they have to, but we'll see if the rains continue to come in the state of Alabama. I saw a good little Twitter back and forth. Michael Casagrande, who's over there with AL.com, posted a picture of the radar, and it's the entire state of Alabama, and there's just a massive cell that's like right in Alabama. And it looks like this somebody's just mad at Alabama, and somebody said Jimbo bought the storm, sent it right up the gut, right through Birmingham. He's calling the shots in Tuscaloosa these days. So, I thought that was fairly humorous. All right, we'll take a timeout. Still a lot to get to here on a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill. Brian Westbrook, a former All-Pro return man for the Philadelphia Eagles, now with the Fanatic up there in Philadelphia. We're going to talk NFL with him, big picture stuff with Brian Westbrook at 1 o'clock, and Glenn West on the LSU baseball beat will join us at 1:30. When we come back, a little bit of NBA talk coming up, and I got some injury updates from LSU baseball as well. That'll finish off hour number 1 on Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill. Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but two NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, front-to-back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to fronttobackboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front to Back Boat Service.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $5,000 off the new 2022 Wagoneer. We have Wagoneers in stock with $5,000 off. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty.
5 ESPN and Guarantee Media bring you Drop Biscuit Studios. It's a southern home for storytellers. Visit dropbiscuit.com today and check out the trailer to our first original series, Pops, the Louis Armstrong story, starring Reno Wilson. Subscribe today. This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We've got baseball in Hoover, Alabama. Auburn and Kentucky are underway. Auburn in the field. Kentucky will be swinging the bats first. There's one down in the top of the first inning. I hope both of these teams just swing the lights out of it and the bullpens get thrashed. And then they turn around and play LSU tomorrow. Jay Johnson said something yesterday that I found interesting. I don't think this is always going to be the case. I think Jay is coaching this team the best way that he knows how to coach this specific team. And that is with this pitching being mixed and matched and different guys in different roles and just trying to figure it out. And we know that. But he said yesterday, entering the postseason, he said, I'm not going to announce a starting pitcher until 90 minutes before any of our postseason games. So y'all just get ready for it. And we're from a time where, Paul Maneri for the NCAA tournament on his Thursday media availability says this is who I'm throwing in game 1 of the regional. And then you knew in game 2, the ace was coming back, whether it was Renato against Baylor, whether it's Lang against any of those teams that LSU played, whether it's Landon Marceau, whatever, the ace was coming in that second game. And then you found a way to figure it out with your third guy in game 3, and Super Regional, you were throwing your ace in game 1, even though last year he let Marceau rest a day. You knew what he was going to do, and he was upfront about it. And Jay Johnson said he's basically going to hide that information from the other teams so they don't have time to scout the pitcher. And in terms of gaining a competitive advantage, I think that's the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. Is it, following baseball's unwritten rules? Probably not. But your thoughts as a competitor of Jay basically saying, I'm not telling you who to scout
Yeah.
We'll let you know 90 minutes before first pitch.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think right now, especially when you look at the pitching staff that he has right now, I think if you had an ace top 10 pick on this team, like, look, you're dealing with him, you're going to have to hit him. But I think right now, with the way things have been going pitching-wise, I think there's still some answers that they kind of want to figure out. I don't think they have everything locked in, and they know exactly who's 1, 2, 3, and, like, what they want to be doing. I know they feel really great about Hilliard and Floyd's coming along right now. But, yeah, I love what Coach Johnson's doing, especially with the way things have been going this season. You don't need to give anyone any type of competitive advantage, especially at this point in the season. So I don't have any quarrels with that at all.
That'll be our Citizens Bank poll question of the day. Are you okay with Jay Johnson holding his starting pitcher until 90 minutes before the game starts? I'll tell you this story. LSU beat Oregon State one time in the College World Series and had to come back and beat them again. And Alex Lang was masterful in his performance in beating that team that was 56-4 at that point. And LSU had to come back and beat him again. And we weren't 100% sure who Oregon State was going to throw. And LSU decided to go with Caleb Gilbert. And right before the game started, about 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes before the game started, I was on the air in this building in the Eagle 98.1 studios with Charles Hannegriff doing a pregame show for that game. And they announced that Bryce Fimmel was going to pitch. And that was not who LSU thought Casey was going to go with. And I've heard the story now, and Paul Maneri told it to us in walk-ons on opening night. He said, that really ticked our team off. Mm-hmm. That they tried to play a little switcheroo and play a little cat and mouse and sneak one by us, and they were furious. And Papierski came out and tanked 2 home runs, and Josh Smith hit a homer, and LSU really swung the bats great, and Caleb Gilbert, thankfully for the home plate umpire, got about 4 inches off the outside corner all day, and LSU won that game. And I wonder... not that it matters what the other team thinks. I think if you're not fired up to play an NCAA tournament game, and especially a College World Series game, you're probably doing the wrong thing. But I wonder if you're lighting a fire in another team by kind of holding your cards close to the vest. I mean, would you be kind of, as a player, a little irritated by that?
I'm not that. And my boy Stephen Miller in the chat, he disagrees with Coach Johnson. He said that's a typical petty move by CJJ to hold the starting lineup 1 hour before the first pitch. So, I mean, you got people on both sides of the fence on this one. To me, I don't think it's that big a petty move at all. I think, if it's not illegal, if you're not breaking any rules, I don't get how it's that big of a deal. But, hey, some people think it's a petty move.
I'll explain it to you, Stephen. Like, we have now every single game that every SEC team plays on TV. Everyone. So if on Monday, Jay Johnson announced that he was starting Mikhail Hilliard in Game 1 of the NCAA tournament, Auburn and Kentucky could have a GA or a hitting coach or whoever chart every one of their pitches over the last month. If you don't, and you got a chance that you're going to throw Cooper, or you're going to throw Raiselman or whatever, or you're going to mix and match it, and you decide you want Bryce Collins to go out there, like they'd have to look at 6 guys. You're increasing the time commitment to preparing for your team and decreasing the amount of time you're able to pour into those guys. Now, look, Auburn's played LSU 3 games. They know the guys. They've got their scouting reports from previously. So is it a massive advantage that LSU is creating? No. Would you be selling yourself a little bit short? Yeah. It's the same reason that teams don't announce a starting quarterback before the first game of the season. They just send them out there. That's just the same type of deal. So if you want to tell me you think it's petty, it's Bush League, it's cat and mouse, look, I won't disagree with you. Do I think it's flagrantly ridiculous? No. But Jay is going, as he said, is going to get this program to a point where they've got an ace up there at the top, and he'll have no problem slapping that name down on a lineup card and saying, hey, this is my guy 48 hours in advance. Yeah. Go get it. Yeah. He doesn't have that now. He said in an interview, we might have the least talented pitching staff in the SEC. That's his words, not mine. So he thinks that he needs every single morsel of a competitive advantage he can get. So if that's going to be pitch a guy 1 pitch and come back with Hasty, that's what you're going to get. Again, and there's a lot of people that hate that too. But that's what he's getting at.
Yeah, no, I get Coach Johnson. I think you said it best when you're quoted saying that about your own team. I mean, it lets you know where he sees his pitching staff at, and I think putting any of those guys in a tougher situation than they're already in, I don't think he wants to hurt his team that way. So if you can force those guys to put more work in, I've seen this at the NFL level, especially if a quarterback gets hurt, they're not telling you what backup they're going to start. Yeah. They're going to keep you on the rails. They're going to let you find out when game day gets there. So I never thought that was Bush League or petty. I think it's strategy, and I love strategy in sports. So that never rubbed me the wrong way. But I guess for some people, it's Bush League, or they're going to get in their emotions about it.
And Stephen Miller says if they announce way in advance, but holding it right up to 60 minutes before first pitch is pointless. Players already have a pregame routine. They're not going to wait around to jump on that infield. I mean, look, this is, as we've talked to Ryan Schimpf, and we'll talk to him again on Friday, there was a time in college baseball you kind of just went up there and hit. And I saw a great quote from Sonny DiChiara. Tony Vitello ran into Sonny DiChiara, Auburn's Player of the Year, in the Hoover Hotel and said, "Hey, who's Kentucky throwing?" He's, "I don't know." And some guys are like that, but others want all the information they can get. And Jay Johnson's just not going to let all that information out. It's one of those things that I don't have a huge issue with, or it doesn't bring me a ton of conviction to back it all the way up. It just is what it is. You got to go out there and play. LSU's got some disadvantages on the staff, and Jay's trying to create as many advantages as he can. So not until 90 minutes before first pitch are you ever going to get a starter for LSU in the postseason. Strap in for that. That's hour number one here of Hunt and Hill. Glenn West is going to talk LSU baseball with us at 1:30. But when we come back on the top of the hour, Brian Westbrook, former All-Pro return man with the Eagles and radio man, will join us to talk some NFL. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
At All-Star Toyota, you get it all. If you're in the market for an all-new Toyota vehicle, come see our friendly and knowledgeable sales team at All-Star Toyota. Located in Baton Rouge at the corner of Airline and Goodwood, we've been serving our community since 2005 by offering a large selection of new Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs. Get behind the wheel of your dream car and take a test drive at All-Star Toyota today.
Join 100.7 The Tiger and Our Lady of the Lake Ascension, Saturday, June 25th at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center in Gonzales.
Enjoy live music from Ted Durr, Mike Broussard and the Night Train, and Jamie Badron and the Kickin' Cajuns. Make sure you grab a delicious plate of jambalaya from the Mike Ward's Liberty Safes Jambalaya Cook-Off to raise money for the Alzheimer's services of the capital area.
The Swamp Pop Music Festival with Supreme Chevrolet,
Louisiana's country station.
100.7 The Tiger.
Visit Acura of Baton Rouge for attractive offers on the MDX.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hour 2 on a Wednesday here, Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Lots of college baseball talk in hour number 1. We'll shift gears toward the NBA here in 15 minutes, but want to chat some NFL, and to do so, we will go out to the phone lines. It is our pleasure to welcome in Brian Westbrook, former Pro Bowler and All-Pro with the Philadelphia Eagles. He of 2 Pro Bowls and a member of the Eagles Hall of Fame, now with a Fanatic up there in Philly. Joins us now. Brian, how are you? Thanks so much for the time.
No problem. How are you guys down there?
Doing very, very well. Look, I'm going to start out with kind of a heavy question here on the NFL. We're obviously in Saints country down here. I look at the AFC, I look at the Chiefs, I look at the Bills, I look at the Bengals, I look at a lot of teams over there that are really, really good. And then I look at the NFC and I go, I don't love anybody in the East. South, Breeze and Peyton are gone. Brady's getting a little older. No more weapons up there for Aaron Rodgers. Is the NFC just wholly mediocre?
I wouldn't say that the NFC is mediocre, but when you're talking about divisions like the AFC West, where you just have quarterbacks on top of quarterbacks that can throw the ball all over the field, and you have fast receivers that can do a bunch of things with the ball in their hands, it's just hard to compare divisions with that. But you still have Rodgers. Obviously, Brady is going to be who he's going to be. I think Dak is a very qualified quarterback, even though, that team hasn't quite got over the hump. And there's always the opportunity for teams to surprise you. There's always the opportunity for young guys like Justin Fields up in Chicago to surprise you. Trey Lance out there in San Francisco to surprise you as well. And so I wouldn't count out the teams and the quarterbacks in particular in the NFC East. In the NFC. But you certainly have much more seasoned quarterbacks that have done it and have done it at a high level in the AFC for sure.
The Saints may have seen one of the better efforts from the Eagles this past season. Hurts got the running game going. They really beat a good Saints defense up that day up there in Philadelphia. What is the feeling from the media and the fan base? I know the team believes in Jalen Hurts and what they can be. But from the outside, what does the town think?
Well, we always understand, similar to what we just talked about, if you have the quarterback in place and that guy is going to be quality, then you got a chance to win. And right now, the question is still out there, is Jalen Hurts the guy? You got A.J. Brown, you got a running game with Miles Sanders, you're adding talent around him, Dallas Goedert at the tight end spot. You have a qualified and very good offensive line led by Jason Kelce there in the middle. But the question is Jalen Hurts good enough? And we saw in the playoff game that he just wasn't good enough throwing the football to win them a football game. And we all understand, when you are in the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback that can win you a game with his arm, then you're going to have trouble as far as as soon as you get into the playoffs, and certainly at certain points during the regular season as well.
Down here in Tiger Country, we had a back by the name of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he's had an opportunity to get coached by Andy Reid, and obviously you did too. Talk about Andy's ability to get the running backs involved in the passing game, because to me, he's the best in the business at doing that.
Well, I love Andy Reid. He was able to get me the ball in all different ways. It's interesting now because I thought Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to have a huge role out there in Kansas City. But what you really have seen is Patrick Mahomes just throwing the ball all over the place. and you kind of combine the run game and the pass game to have an explosive offense. But because of the skill set of Patrick Mahomes, that kind of washes out the run game completely up there in the ability to get the ball, to the running back in the flat and different things that way. But Andy Reid, as a whole, he has the ability to create space. And when you got guys like myself or Clyde Edwards-Helaire that can operate in space, make people miss, catch the ball and do something with it after they have the ball in their hands, that makes an offense dynamic. And Andy Reid, when you look across his career, no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who the running back is, offenses have been dynamic. And that continues to this day. And, he can just continue to do different things that a lot of people just aren't able to do. Create space, get guys open, and then with the ball in their hands, guys are just going to do what they normally do. And that's usually, for the most part, the Andy Reid type of guys, they're going to make big plays down the field.
So our producer here, probably the biggest Cowboy fans I ever met in my life. And I just kind of want to get a deep, detailed look about that rivalry between the Eagles and the Cowboys. You've been a part of a ton of that, and obviously it's still going today. Talk about the rivalry between those two teams.
Just hatred. It's one of those things that there's just hatred. And when it becomes Dallas week, the people in Philadelphia, they start saying crazy things that we probably can't repeat on the radio. But it's just about a rivalry, about two different squads. And really, when you think about the Cowboys over the course of time, not recently, but over the course of time, they have truly been America's team. Everyone's watching them. Everyone appreciates the star. And they've won Super Bowls back in the 90s and things like that. And that's when that hatred starts to build. And they came to Philadelphia and embarrassed us a bunch of times early on in my career. And then really, things kind of even out over the last 10, 15 years. But there is a hatred there, and those hatreds, especially in Philadelphia, die very, very slowly. No matter how good Dallas is, no matter how good the Philadelphia Eagles are, there still is hatred, and that's the beauty of sports. That's the beauty of the NFL, that those rivalries, no matter how good the teams are, still exist, and that's why the NFL is the number one TV and watch program on TV and things like that. That's what makes it beautiful and so beloved with our community.
Let's stick with the passion of the Philadelphia fans here. Obviously, Ben Simmons spent 1 year in Baton Rouge and was the number one overall pick, but didn't have a lot of great things to say about his time in Baton Rouge, not necessarily due to LSU, more the NCAA, but then he goes up to Philadelphia, and we know what happened up there. Can you speak from inside the belly of the beast here to what that city feels about their investment as a number one pick in him and what that turned into?
Well, from my perspective, and this is my perspective as a former player, I'm just disappointed. I thought that just like everyone else around the NBA, you talk about a guy that's 6'10", that can play point guard, that can do all the things that you need him to do and be a really good defender. You're expecting that guy to lead a basketball team to a championship, especially when paired with Joel Embiid. Unfortunately, Ben became he never really bonded with the fans, never really bonded with the city. And then when you come into a city that's all about blue-collar, hard-nosed, working people, and you don't play, and you point your finger at the fans, things like that, it makes it a very bad taste in the mouth of everyone involved. And, of course, not playing, not performing is the biggest thing. And, the one thing about people in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia fans, is if you go out there and you just bust your butt, you just try your best, you give effort, and you leave it all on the court or in the field, they respect that. But when you have a bunch of talent like Ben Simmons has, and you're not doing the things that we expect you to do and not playing the game the way that we expect you to play, which is with passion, with desire, with drive, then that's when you kind of get on the bad side of the Philadelphia fans. And that's exactly what happened to Ben Simmons. He wasn't playing the game with that same type of love that I think the fans would play the game with. And because of that, it became very, very bad for him. And unfortunately, he had to move on.
You see the Eagles front office do a lot to get Jalen Hurts some webs, obviously taking Devontae Smith last year and obviously adding A.J. Brown this year. If things don't go the right way for Jalen this year, how long do you think he's going to be the starter at quarterback for the Eagles?
Well, to me, it's become very, very clear. Jalen has 1 year to prove himself. And here's a good thing for Jalen. He hasn't been with the same offensive coordinator in the last 3 or 4 years, probably more than that. I mean, with changing schools in college and getting drafted and then, changing coaches in the NFL, he hasn't had consistency. And so this year probably is the first time in a very long time that he's had the same offensive coordinator and head coach in back-to-back years. And now we'll see how much better he can be. Now we'll see how much consistency it will help a young quarterback in the NFL. And from my view, this is going to be a great opportunity, a great litmus test of how much the head coach, the quarterback coach, as well as the quarterback are willing to work together for him to grow. Now, to me, he has one season. This is his whole season and really his whole career in Philadelphia as a starter. If it's a question mark after this season, if Jalen can be the guy, then they'll go find a different quarterback next year in the draft. There's no doubt about that. But he has an opportunity. And really, when you go into the NFL, Jeremy, you understand this. All you want is an opportunity. Put me on the field, put the ball in my hands, and let me do what I do. And if I go out there and I fail, okay, I can accept being benched and I can accept not playing. But if you don't give me that opportunity, then I can't accept that. And this year, they've given them a very good offensive line. They've given them weapons, A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert and Devontae Smith. They've given him everything. He has that consistency from the coach's standpoint. Now he has to go out there and perform. And if he does that, he'll be the starter for years to come. But that's going to be the big-time question mark as you go into the season.
All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot here, Brian. Who wins the NFC East next year?
Well, I'm going with the Eagles. I mean, I think they put enough talent around Jalen Hurts to make it close. I also believe that as good as I think and have thought the Dallas Cowboys have been in previous years, they never have really just dominated. They never have really, just ran away from things, even though I thought they've been the most talented team for the last 5 years in the NFC East. This year, because of that, I think the Eagles, through grit, determination, they bought into Nick Sirianni's system that they can go out there and win themselves some games, and I think they will win the NFC East.
One more, Brian. As you get out of here, we appreciate your time. You were a machine at Villanova, accumulated 9,500 total yards in your collegiate days, and a proud Wildcat. What was your thoughts when Jay Wright decided to step away right there after the Final Four?
Well, listen, I hate to see a guy like Jay Wright step away, not just because of the national championships in 16 and 18. I love that, just like everyone else. But this year, to me, was his best coaching job. He had no business getting that team into the Final Four. That was grit, determination. It was the ability to get guys better from their freshman year to their, in this case, fifth or sixth year. And they were able to make it into the Final Four when they were not the most talented team. They weren't the fastest, the tallest, the quickest team. They just battled every single day. That comes from the head coach. And so for Jay to kind of hang up the coaching clipboard and things like that, it's certainly disappointing. But I know that he left our program in a great space for Kyle Neptune. He left it in a great place for him to continue to grow. Hopefully that legacy will continue to grow and build on itself with Kyle. And it's a great opportunity for a young coach to come in and put his place and his presence on display and be able to go out there and win some basketball games. And so, yes, Jay left a great legacy. He built a tradition there at Villanova, and that will never be forgotten. But we also are looking forward to the future as well, and I'm excited about that as well.
He's a two-time Pro Bowler, a first-team All-Pro, a member of the Philadelphia Eagles All of Fame. Brian Westbrook, our guest here. Thanks so much for your time, Brian. We'll do it again.
No problem. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Brian Westbrook from up there at the Fanatic in Philadelphia. That was some really good stuff. You telling me that's the best team in the East? Yeah. They got Jalen Hurts taking snaps? Yeah. I still think the NFC is mediocre. I think that's my summer-long thing. I'm looking around. I'm going, yeah, the Rams look good. I could see the Bucs being pretty good. I could also see it not working out. I think there are probably 5 teams in the AFC I would have more confidence putting my chips on than anybody in the NFC at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the NFC, I think, you see the change in the guards, especially, with the receiver position up there in Green Bay, and then obviously not really having those proven quarterbacks. Russell Wilson leaving the division, and so you lose some power at the top. But I think, I kind of agree with Brian a little bit that sometimes there's always a team that shocks you. There's always a team that makes that next leap, and so we'll kind of see how that plays out. I don't think many people were predicting the Rams last year, but your boy right here. But, we know how that things go. But, yeah, I think the AFC is definitely more talented.
Glenn West with some updates on LSU's baseball team in 15 minutes. When we come back, a little chatter about the National Basketball Association. That's next on Hunt and Hill.
Serving up the latest from the sports world. It's Hunt and Hill.
The NBA playoffs are heating up, and you can make every game feel like Game 7 on FanDuel Sportsbook, an official partner of the NBA. Throughout the playoffs, all customers can place a no-sweat, same-game parlay each week. You get up to $20 in free bets if you don't win. FanDuel has so many ways to play, and best of all, when you do win, you'll get paid faster than a fast break.
FanDuel's catching on. They're catching on to the Eastern Conference Finals. You can now get an odds boost on either team between Boston and Miami to win by 15-plus points. Plus 420 if either team wins by 15 or more. It's been a competitive series in terms of games won, in terms of games on the floor. It's been a disaster. So if you think it's going to be another blowout, jump in. Throw your odds boosted from plus 320 to plus 420 on that one, Celtics and Heat. The Celtics 2.5-point favorite in Miami tonight. So jump on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Jump on your same-game parlay and make it happen. Either way, you get up to $20 in free bets if your same-game parlay in the playoffs doesn't win. FanDuel Sportsbook's an official partner of the NBA. You must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Refund issued as a non-withdrawable free bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $20 per week. Restrictions apply. See full terms. Sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $5,000 off the new 2022 Wagoneer. We have Wagoneers in stock with $5,000 off. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret, the best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
If home is where the heart is, a roof is a shield. That's why for over 25 years, South Louisiana always turns to Garcia Roofing and Sheet Metal. For more information,
on Wednesdays, Early Line, we check in on the SEC baseball tournament and preview LSU's matchup, and we give some plays ahead of Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals between the Celtics and the Heat. Join us 2 to 3 p.m. 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
They've played 2 at the Hoover Met, scoreless between Auburn and Kentucky. LSU gets the winner of that game. Loser will go home. If it's Auburn, they'll wait their postseason destination. If it is Kentucky, they will go fishing because they will be done for the year. Speaking of done for the year, the Mavs are not done for the year. I'll give them credit. They played really hard last night, and you didn't have to. I mean, you've got what is in NBA terms an insurmountable deficit. It's never happened before. And you come out there and play really hard. I didn't think there was a single statistic that proved how tough the Mavs played on the defensive end of the floor last night, other than the fact that the Golden State Warriors, which will go down as the greatest shooting dynasty in the history of the league, attempted 3 open threes last night. 3. That is playing some defense. If you're the Dallas Mavs, props to him.
Yeah, no, you definitely got to get props on. I know I thought it'd be over. I was getting my broom out yesterday. I thought it was done for the Mavs, but that was a great performance, and it really makes you look back on that game too. And the Mavs let one slip away. They could easily have this series tied 2-2 right now. They were up 19 on the road at Golden State. They let that one slip away, and then obviously you saw the way they played last night. So they let one slip away, but this is the brand of the Mavs that they have to get going. And you see Luka's record when he does score 40 points. They're 2-6 when he scores 40 points. So to see the other guys get more involved, obviously Reggie Bullock made a shot. To see him go 0 for 9 the game before, and to see him knock down some threes, and obviously Finney Smith got involved. And so when you get those others involved, like my boy Shaq always says, it makes it so much easier for your superstars. And I think that's the brand of the basketball the Mavs need to play if they want to continue to try to make this a series.
The Mavs, on the other hand, took 25 open threes. They made 15 of them last night. So maybe the Warriors didn't exactly have their foot on the gas, but the Mavs played very, very well. Luka has scored 30-plus in every elimination game in his NBA career, which is impressive on the one hand, and then you bring out the stat that when he goes and tries to do too much himself, it doesn't really help the rest of the team. But as I look at that team, and we've watched them now for a couple of weeks, you just got to hope there's another option. There's not a proven second option. You just have to hope 2 more guys show up to the arena that night. And, last night they did. We'll see if it happens again. But I think it would be easy to get on the radio mic and say, hey, look, they won that one. Warriors better win this one, because if they go back to Dallas, Dallas can take control. Then Game 7, anything can happen. But then I sit back and go, that would be a stupid thing to say, because the Warriors are going to win one of the next 3. It's just that's the way it goes. Yeah,
it's insurmountable. That's one of those things where, obviously the Warriors even made it a game last night. They had no business being in that game in the fourth quarter, and they still found a way to make a run. So I think going back, and I think you heard Steve Kerr before the game, just obviously everyone knows what happened in Texas yesterday. It just seems like, they weren't really focused on that. Kerr didn't even want to talk about basketball. So I think getting a chance to go back home, reevaluate, getting sharpened back up, it's going to be too tough for them to go back into that Chase Center and try to win another game. So I think, I wasn't right last night, but I think the Warriors close it out in Game 5.
Okay. This series in the East, it has just been a snoozer from tip to finish of every game. And then you look and go, well, it's a good series, but every game stinks. And I just gave you at the end of that segment the FanDuel, where it's like if you can bet on a team to win by 15+, and the odds are boosted to over plus 400. So if you think it's going to be another rout, have at it. But the Celtics are favored tonight in Miami. I still don't have a great grasp on who shows up day to day to the Celtics in terms of the injuries, and Smart's been in and out, and we'll see what his situation is. Jaylen Brown, but I keep saying I think the Celtics are going to win, and they end up laying eggs. I don't think they're going to play as poorly as they did in Miami. I think this game is going to be close because I expect the road team to stay in it for once. But I'll take Miami tonight. Whatever.
Yeah, this is one of the more weird, wacky series I've ever seen. It's just like you think one thing going into a game, then the next thing just a team just absolutely doesn't show up at all, and that's just weird for this time of the season. You think teams who both made it to the Eastern Conference Finals would be laser focused and locked in, ready to play every night, but that's just not been the case, and just creates an environment where it's just it's snoozers, like you said. But I think for the Celtics, I like the Celtics in this game. I think when they don't turn the ball over, it's too tough for the Heat to score in half-court settings with all the guys who can guard multiple positions for the Celtics. So I got the Celtics here, and I think with Jimmy Butler being banged up the way he is, playoff Jimmy has not been around for the past 2 games. I think at home that's what they're going to need to get over the hump, and I just don't know if he's going to be healthy enough to do that. So I got the Celtics tonight.
Look, I can get on here and try to give you picks. I don't know what the hell's going to happen in this series. It's been ridiculous. No one's gotten this thing right game to game. We came out there. I said Celtics in 5. That failed. I think you might have said the Celtics might sweep them. It's been back and forth, and in my head, Miami is not that tough a place to play. It's a late arriving crowd, kind of a wine and cheese situation. Boston's a free for all when you get into there. But the Heat have played pretty well in there, and they're the reason they were the seed they are, and that they've reached this point in the postseason. Do you feel like in this game the Celtics need to win it to win the series?
I'm going to say, yeah, I think so. I think they do. I think if the Celtics go down 3-2, it's going to create a world where it's going to be so much pressure on Jason Tatum to have those big performances. And we've seen him kind of come and go out of this lineup. And so if they're down 3-2, it's going to put so much pressure on them. Yeah, they could possibly win Game 6, but to go back to Miami, that place is going to be a ruckus for a Game 7, for a chance for the Heat to go to the finals. And I don't love the Celtics in that environment. I think the best path for them is to obviously win tonight, go back to Boston, close it out. I don't like the Celtics in the game. I know I picked them to win this series, but going back, especially to me, if the Heat win tonight, that means Jimmy Butler's probably playing and healthy, and that means they're getting guys confidence and they're continuing to turn the Celtics over. If they do that again, I think it's going to be over for the Celtics.
Are the Warriors your pick to win the finals right now?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go Steph. Yeah, I'm going to have to go Steph and the crew. I think I want to see a Celtics-Warriors finals. I think that'd be great. I would love that matchup between those two teams. I think if it's Warriors-Heat, I love the Warriors in that matchup. I think the Celtics can give them a little more run, but right now I think the Warriors, they're poised to win it all again.
I don't listen to a lot of Stephen A., but every time this time of year comes around and I see them on site at some of these arenas, I think about how mad he was when the Spurs were going through their runs. I got to go sit on that boardwalk. It's the most boring city in America.
Yeah.
And that's generally, I thought that was
Stephen A., look, he loves him some Miami, man. Look, I like the production crew. They got the Latino music going on for Stephen A. He's wearing the Suave button-down, shirt unbuttoned and stuff. Yeah, look, he gets after it in Miami, man. The guy knows how to have a good time, and I love seeing that guy have a good time. It's pretty funny.
We'll see tonight, as I mentioned on FanDuel. The Celtics, a road favorite tonight. If you want to jump on that, check out the FanDuel Sportsbook. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, Glenn West has got some new digs. Been talking to him for months now. Got a new employer. Go247 has employed Glenn West. He's on the LSU baseball beat. He will join us next on Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, Hunt and Hill.
Reliable Roofing and Construction. Check out their work at reliableroofingbr.com.
Yeah, guys, so happy to tell you about Reliable Roofing, a family-run, owned, and operated residential roofing company. They've been in business since 2008 with over 30 years of roofing experience.
Sure have. When they come, you can be assured of a lot of things. One that I tell you every single day is that Lionel, the owner, is going to visit the site. He's going to come, not just going to send a crew out there, get it done. No, he's going to come put his personal stamp of approval on it. Every job comes with a 5-year labor warranty. And look, when they come and they put that work forward and they leave, it's going to be like they were never there. They're going to clean everything up. It's going to be spotless. And look, they've got a deal going on this summer that is awesome because they're such an awesome part of this Baton Rouge community. They've been a part of their entire lives. If you're a teacher, or if you're a senior citizen, 10% off of your roofing job when you contact Reliable Roofing and Construction. Check them out on Instagram, reliableroofingllc.com. You can see their work. Look at it. They're proud of it. They show it off. It's right there, and you can also check it out on the website. Go check them out. It's reliableroofingbr.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
And this year, 2022, it's time to finally treat yourself. Bring your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service. You want the latest and greatest marine technology? You want to go to the place that has not one, but two NMEA-certified techs. Family-owned and operated by the Sherman family for 30 years, Front-to-Back is the answer in Baton Rouge for all of your custom boat needs. So head to front-to-backboatservice.com or find them on Facebook, Front-to-Back Boat Service.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Visit Acura of Baton Rouge for attractive offers on the MDX.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Moscona, inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. LSU baseball scheduled to get underway in Hoover. We'll have a preview for you, and it's a Whiskey Wednesday. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Auburn mounting a bit of a threat here in the third inning against Kentucky. They got a couple on and a couple out, but Sonny DeShara coming to the plate. We'll keep you updated as LSU catches the winner of Auburn and Kentucky in the SEC baseball tournament. Covering the LSU baseball team is Glenn West. You know him. He's been on for weeks and weeks and weeks, but shiny new business cards for the big guy. Glenn, congrats are in order. A move over to Go 247.
Yes, sir. Hey, guys. Thanks. I appreciate it. How are you guys?
Doing very well. Better than the TARP crew over in Hoover that's having to work a little bit overtime. But I think maybe a good thing for LSU to get 24 extra hours, 40 extra hours to play this game, as banged up as they are, you think?
Oh, absolutely. I think any kind of additional time they could get was certainly going to be beneficial to them. Obviously, with guys like Doty and Barry and Dugas all kind of banged up right now. Any kind of extra time you can give those guys to get a little bit more right for this week it is obviously a really great benefit. And obviously, with the way that they keep having to push these games back, I think you have to start wondering if the SEC is going to start maybe thinking about making this a single elimination tournament this year. I think that's something we've certainly seen, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happens if these weather delays continue to be an issue.
Yeah, we'll see the rest of the day. LSU scheduled to play early in the morning tomorrow. Where do you think LSU sits right now in terms of the hosting picture?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're right on that bubble. I mean, I've looked at a bunch of the projections. D1 baseball is a big one that I look at, and they have them right, on the outside right now. I think 17th out of 16 hosting sites. So they're right there, and I think certainly a win or two this weekend will certainly help in their cause for hosting. But just in talking with Jay Johnson, and we talked with Dylan Cruz yesterday as well. They obviously want to do as well as they can in Hoover, but I think the whole team is focused on the big picture and getting this team as healthy as possible for the NCAA tournament. They're not going to force guys back for this week, I don't believe, and He kind of runs into what, kind of the theory that Jay Johnson has, which is, it's very much a next man up kind of mentality. You've seen guys like Collier Cranford really step up in the last several weeks. On the mound, Ty Floyd is certainly a guy who's caught my eye over the last couple of weeks of the regular season. So when you have some guys that are banged up and you're trying to work them back and for them to be as healthy as possible, you like to see some of the other guys step up, and I think you've seen that.
How comfortable are you if there was a world where K. Doty's not in this lineup, Dugas is not in this lineup, and Barry's not in this lineup, that this team can possibly win 2 games in this tournament?
It's going to be tough. I mean, we haven't seen that at all this year. Doty's been very consistently a part of the lineup the last 3 years, and obviously, with Barry and Dugas, we know what they can do, and you're going to have to do some serious reshuffling. I think you got to start looking at some more veteran guys like Drew Bianco. Wouldn't be surprised to see him kind of slide into that lineup. I'm a big Bianco fan just because of the way that he kind of is a little bit of a Swiss Army knife for them. He has been for a long time now, and I think you can throw him into that kind of environment and it won't really faze him all that much. But it's going to be very interesting. Obviously, you got the 2 freshmen, Stevenson and Pearson, out in the outfield that I think can certainly continue to do some things. I think you've seen enough from Collier Cranford to allow you to believe that he's capable of putting the bat on the ball and obviously making some really good defensive plays as well. And then Joe Bear. I mean, I like what Joe Bear has done. Obviously, at right field, he's been in and out at right field in the DH spot with Barry kind of banged up. So it seems like they've been able to prepare for these kinds of scenarios the last week or two, just with so many guys banged up, and we'll see if they can continue that here in Hoover. What
do you think Jay does on the mound in Game 1 for LSU?
It's a great question. I think you kind of got to go with your big bullets here, and if they have enough rest, you certainly want to try to win as many games as possible. But if you really are kind of on that fence of whether or not to rush guys back, I think you got to throw your best arms to give you the best opportunity to win a couple of these games early this week. And so we'll see if Hilliard's ready to go tomorrow. We haven't spoken with Jay about who's going to be the starter on Thursday. He was very kind of hesitant to give us any kind of names and who's going to be the starter in the first couple of games. So just based off of theory, I think if you get Hilliard 6 days rest now, I think he should be able to go for you if you really want to try to burn your big bullets here in the early part of this week. So I would probably say either Hilliard or probably even maybe Ty Floyd you can throw in that first game and feel comfortable.
Jay said he's not going to announce a starter for any postseason game until 90 minutes before first pitch. What are your thoughts on that strategy?
Well, I mean, obviously it's not, it creates a little bit more, just kind of, just up and down in terms of the media and what we think. But, I think it's very smart strategy. It's something that, especially if you don't have much of a consistent lineup, throughout the regular season. I mean, we've had years where you kind of knew where Alex Lang was going to pitch. You knew where Jared Poche was going to pitch, but this is a year where you've kind of thrown a lot of guys out there, and I think that the kind of the strategy for this team is to really, I think kind of catch some teams off guard, and we'll see if they're able to do that with this pitching staff. And I think you can certainly, bubble in Hilliard as a starter, but after that, it's going to be very hard to know what they're thinking. I think it's going to be very matchup based, and now that we're in the postseason time, this is the kind of kind of coaching maneuvers that Jay Johnson loves to do. It's the reason he wanted to come here and be a part of this conference, because he likes the challenge of being able to write those cards up and see where they fall. So it'll be very interesting.
We're all very confident in what Hilliard brings, and I think Ty Floyd's kind of stepping up in that role and be the starter for this team.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a struggle. I think Dutton is a guy who can give you a couple innings here and there, but it's going to be a little bit weird. I'm not exactly sure. Obviously, Blake Money is a guy who came in with such high expectations and started out the year guns a-blazing, but he's been hit on a little bit throughout the entire SEC play. So I'm not sure if he's a reliable guy you can have as a third starter. I do think you kind of have to continue to roll the dice with Dutton, hope the freshman can continue to piece together solid outings. Obviously, it hadn't been a really, in terms of consistency, a great last few weeks for him. But, I think he's a guy that you got to continue to roll with. And I think you could certainly see a scenario where Grant Taylor maybe gets another opportunity. Maybe there's a surprise guy that Jay likes to, mix it up with later in the week. Maybe you see like a Jacob Hasty or a left-handed arm or something, just to kind of tool with things a little bit. And if you have if you're planning on having a third starter and you're kind of thinking you're going to piece together that last day, it doesn't really matter who you start with, but it's just going to be kind of based upon the matchups, I think.
Kentucky just got a guy thrown out from right field at first base. You hate to see that. So let's play some hypothetical here, Glenn. If you're LSU, would you rather be the 16th host seed looking at its trip to Knoxville in the Supers, or would you rather be the 2 seed in, say, the 15 region and have to go on the road 2 times but not have Tennessee in the equation? What would you rather do?
Look, I think there's something to this team being able to play a little bit better on the road. I think they have just a really solid mind frame and mindset when they go on the road, and you can really see that when you watch this team play. That's not to say that I don't think they would want to host if given that opportunity. I know they absolutely would. But in terms of just how the brackets break down. I think being a 2 seed and going into, a 15 seed regional or a 16 seed regional, something like that, it's honestly something that these guys are used to. Obviously, a lot of these guys played last year in Eugene and in Knoxville. They have that kind of, they have that kind of experience now under their belt in terms of postseason play. So I think they're going to allow, wherever the cards fold, they're going to go and compete as hard as they can. But I certainly think there's something to this team playing a little bit better on the road than they have at home. They just seem to have a different mindset when they're on the road, and it kind of us against the world mentality. And I think it's a really kind of infectious way to get wins.
That'll do it for Glenn West. Congrats on the new gig, sir. We'll be catching up down the road.
Absolutely. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Glenn West, Go 247. You can find his work there with the incomparable Shea Dixon. Auburn already gone to the bullpen to Trace Bright. He's really their second best bullpen arm behind Burkhalter, who's been awesome for him. We'll see how long Bright goes in this game. But it's basically a bullpen game for both of these teams. We've seen both teams start a guy who's been majority a reliever all year long. That's very common in first game in SEC play. You don't want to tax that starting rotation. But either way you slice it, LSU very likely tomorrow going to get an SEC weekend starter, potentially a guy who's pitched on some game ones for either one of these teams. So we'll keep you updated for the next 20 minutes as we continue to churn through here. When we come back, we will get you caught up on all the scores in college baseball. We will also play some Take It or Leave It, and then we will get on down the road on a Wednesday edition of Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Join 100.7 The Tiger and Our Lady of the Lake Ascension Saturday, June 25th at the Lamar Dixon Expo Center in Gonzales.
Enjoy live music from Ted Durr, Mike Broussard and the Night Train, and Jamie Badron and the Kickin' Cajuns. Make sure you grab a delicious plate of jambalaya from the Mike Ward's Liberty Safes Jambalaya Cook-Off to raise money for the Alzheimer's services of the capital area.
The Swamp Pop Music Festival with Supreme Chevrolet,
Louisiana's country station.
100.7 The Tiger.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
If you're in an accident, a car accident, a slip and fall where you're injured, you need to call an attorney. The defendant insurance company, it's their goal to close the case as quickly as possible and pay out the least amount of money as possible. That's why it's important to call an attorney and call the law offices of O.C. Brown.
At the law office of O.C. Brown, we're a family-owned firm. We want to be your law firm for a lifetime.
Are you a licensed contractor? There's lots of good contractors in Louisiana doing work the right way, but unfortunately, too many unlicensed contractors are working outside the licensing requirements. Working as a contractor in Louisiana requires a license for the company doing the work. The Louisiana State Licensing Board for Contractors wants to help you get licensed to allow you to conduct work legally. It's not difficult to get the license. We can help you. Go to lacontractor.org for more information. Licensed contractors, it's the law.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
This is a house call. This is a follow-up appointment. This is a diabetes checkup. This isn't just more convenient care, it's more advanced care. This is innovating healthcare at Louisiana's #1 hospital, Ochsner.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice.
Poor boy raised amid turn-of-the-century New Orleans, Louis Armstrong became one of the most recognizable people on earth. Visit dropbiscuit.com today and check out the trailer to our first original series, Pops, The Louis Armstrong Story, starring Reno Wilson. Subscribe today. Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Kentucky is struck first against Auburn. Cats lead 1-0 in the top of the fourth inning. Trace Bright on the mound for Auburn. He has started 10 games for them this year. I think potentially Mason Barnett would be the most viable option to start from tomorrow for Auburn. Barnett started the first game in their weekend series against Kentucky over the weekend, so we'll see if that's a viable option. I don't know that they would go to Joseph Gonzalez, who threw on Saturday. It is going to be Thursday, and he certainly could, I guess. But I think probably Mason Barnett, probably your best guess there. The key, though, in this game, if you're an LSU fan and you're paying attention to Auburn and Kentucky this afternoon, Blake Burkhalter has been absolutely unstoppable for Auburn this year in the bullpen. He has been fantastic for them all year long. And LSU saw him here in Baton Rouge, and you certainly don't want to mess with Guilfoyle, the closer for Kentucky. He was first team All-SEC. He's a strikeout machine, and that's a dynamite pitcher. So what I'm telling you is the two closers for these teams are really good. You need the winner of this game to use their closer, hopefully for like 2 or 3 innings. Would be nice. Kentucky's playing for their season, so if they get a lead, you would figure you'll see Guilfoyle in this game pretty quickly. Auburn has gone to Burkhalter with a lead all year. Wouldn't imagine that'll be any different, but long way away from that at this point as Kentucky leads 1-0 through 3.5 in Hoover. We are pulling for Auburn personally because we want the RPI boost that comes with playing a top 10 RPI team. So they'll be keeping you updated on our early line as well as on After Further Review this afternoon with Matt with the goings-on from Hoover, Alabama. Jeremy, let's close up shop. Let's do some take it or leave it. Fire away.
Alrighty. PGA Championship winner and former Alabama Crimson Tide golfer Justin Thomas decided to take some shots at Jimbo Fisher, stating that he has a 24-hour celebration rule, but Jimbo should probably hold off on celebrating until he wins something. Justin Thomas taking shots at Jimbo. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. Anybody can take shots at Jimbo at this point. I'm all in on it. Jimbo does have a national championship to his name, so a little bit there. And he did beat your alma mater last year and certainly won the recruiting title. But nobody really cares about any of that stuff until he gets some hardware at Texas A&M, and he certainly has none of that in Aggie land to this point. So I'm all for it. JT's probably feeling it a little bit after winning the PGA. Got his second major. He's a big Alabama guy. Probably feeling it a little bit. He's fine. Brad Spielberger of Pro Football Focus predicted the next contracts of the top players from the 19 draft class, with Devin White being one of them, signing a 5-year, $105 million contract with $55 million guaranteed. Devin White, $100 million man. Take it or leave it.
Oh, I'll take that, man. Look, you got to pay the man. I know Levante Davis getting on the way out. And I think for me, you don't pay Devin just for his ability on the football field. He's a leader, man. To talk about a quarterback on the defense, I've never seen a linebacker come through this program at LSU and be the leader that Devin White was. And I think for me, the biggest thing was him having an opportunity to skip out on the bowl game and go get drafted in the top 10, but deciding to go fight for the Fighting Tigers one more time and putting it on the line. It just goes to show the type of character he is, and we all know the type of man he is off the field. So if there's anyone deserving of a $100 million contract, you got to pay that guy Devin White for sure.
I can tell you the best quarterback's Burrow. I can tell, and to me, the best linebacker that I've seen here has been Devin White. A lot of other positions, I have a hard time giving you a definite that that's the best one I've ever seen. Wide receiver, I could give you Josh Reed. I could give you Jets or Jamar. I could give you Michael Clayton. Dwayne Bowe was unbelievable. Like, I can't give you one specific running back. Certainly, I can't give you one that comes to mind. Even corner, like you could make the argument for a lot. He's the best linebacker, in my opinion, that I've seen at LSU.
Yeah, you can't disagree with that. I think, obviously, a Biletnikoff winner, just everything he did, that dude was unreal. So, yeah, you definitely got to tip your cap to Devin. You want to go to the next one?
Yep.
All right, there you go.
When preparing for the match against Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, Tom Brady took no time taking shots at all the quarterbacks participating, taking Mahomes and Rodgers' best receiver and left them in Josh Allen. We said he'd be next. Taking or leaving Tom Brady, talking trash to his opposing QB, saying he's taking their wide receiver.
I'll take it, man. Tommy gets going. You know the confidence. I know he tries to keep it PC at times, but I think we're seeing the real Tom now. He's getting on the TikTok wave. He's getting on the Instagram wave. He's getting on the meme train like my boy Lane Kiffin. And Tom's just having a good time, man. So anytime Tom's cutting back, and that's probably the last guy you want to get in a verbal jabbing battle with all the amount of Super Bowls that guy has. So, yeah, it was pretty funny to kind of see all those guys just kind of just taking it. They didn't really have much to say back to Tom. And what are you gonna say, man? That dude has 6 Super Bowls, so you gotta let him talk his trash. All right, last one here. This is heavily requested by the Bayou chat, so you had to throw it in there. After years of being annoyed by the Vandy Whistler, Barstool Mincy decided to confront him at the SEC tournament, stating that he was a disgrace to the SEC. Barstool Mincy, confront the Vandy Whistler. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
I'll take it.
You know, the Whistler, it's so uniformly detested. I don't even know that Vanderbilt fans really like it. Everyone who's not a Vanderbilt fan hates it. I personally don't really hear it. I guess I'm just an idiot. I don't know. I don't hear it during the games as closely as everybody else does. What I will say is I learned something when Mincy did this. I know what the Vandy Whistler looks like. I've seen pictures and pictures of him. I've seen him in person. I know what he looks like. This was a different guy. There's 2 of them. I had no idea there were duplicate Whistlers. And Mincy got on the lesser known of the 2. And then some guy turned around and pointed scoreboard, which, you know, what? It's another childish reaction. Look, it's not something I'm going to do necessarily, go down and tell somebody they're a disgrace. But Mincy was looking for the clicks. He got over 1 million of them, and that's the Barstool way. So good on him for it. I just didn't know there were 2. So that's disappointing, to say the least, that they've got backup Whistlers. That's more than the league bargained for. But you know, they're going to be around for a couple more days, so we'll see if anybody else decides to take a page out of Mincy's book and gets after him. Auburn with a leadoff double here in the bottom of the 4th. What are your thoughts on the rest of this one? Who's going to win it?
I think Auburn. I think Auburn can score some runs down the stretch, especially when Kentucky gets deep into their bullpen. Yeah, I think Auburn can still score here. So I like Auburn to finish this one and win.
I want to remind you that May is Military Appreciation Month, and 104.5 ESPN is honoring those that have served or are currently serving, like Charles Harkless, who was retired after 21 years in the United States Air Force. Laban Duffy, currently serving our country in the United States Navy. To all the men and women that sacrifice so much for us, 104.5 ESPN thanks you very, very much. And also want to remind you that Swamp Pop is coming up. The title sponsor, Our Lady of the Lake Ascension, Jambalaya Cook-Off, sponsor Mike Ward's Liberty Safe, the presenting sponsor Supreme Chevrolet, all getting involved. And the Jambalaya Cook-Off is going to be June 25th from noon to 9 over at Lamar Dixon. If you want to see the lineup of bands, if you want to buy tickets to Swamp Pop, go to 1045ESPN.com to get all of that done. No clue when LSU is playing baseball next, quite honestly. The projection is the first game tomorrow. We'll see if the rains come this afternoon in Hoover. Just stay posted, and we'll let you know how that impacts the content of our show. We'll be on whether LSU's playing or not tomorrow, but the Tigers slated to play sometime around 9:30, depending on the weather, and they'll get the winner of this Kentucky and Auburn game. Had a great show today. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com on the on-demand tab, or on Apple Podcasts, or on Spotify. We've got our own channels there. Search Hunt and Hill. You can check all of that out. We opened up with some RPI talk and what's going on in the world of college baseball over the last 24 hours. You missed that. Catch it at the top of the show. Lane Kiffin talk there in the meat of hour number one. Lane had a lot of thoughts for Ross Dellinger, and we gave our thoughts on what Lane thinks. Some disagreed, some agreed. We had a great sit-down interview with Brian Westbrook earlier. He was great, talking about the NFL, talking about Ben Simmons, talking about what's going on up there with the Eagles, and we had a lot of good discussion with Brian Westbrook. Glenn West on the LSU baseball team at 1:30. We'll be back tomorrow, getting you caught up on all LSU's resume stuff and maybe reacting to their first game in the SEC tournament. Matt's driving you home 3 to 6 on AFR. Jimmy Ott's Game Time 6 to 8. Mario and Musso are next. We'll see you tomorrow on Hunt and Hill.